crying to mommy never helps. And so every time when people attack me, they expect not to get attacked back, right? So he's interrupting, he's saying all these things about me, he's not letting me finish a thought. And so so at that point I get to the tall glass of shut up juice, and then he's like discombobulated, right? And
Anna Cenk yelled at me again, and I think he was kidding, but I'm not positive.
Don't go crying home to mommy.
I'll call you back.
Welcome everyone. Today we're diving into yet another epic meltdown featuring Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks as he absolutely tears apart Allan Lichtman, who is a professor who's apparently spent 51 years perfecting the art of whining about losing debates. Lichtman is here crying to Piers Morgan, hoping for sympathy, but Cenk isn't having any of it. Let's break down the highlights of this so-called debate where Lichtman's credibility goes up in flames while Cenk serves him up his infamous shut up juice. Let's dive in. This one's exciting.
I call out Piers Morgan. Piers, you should have been a responsible moderator. You should have stepped in right away and said, there's no place here for personal attacks. That's not what we're about. But you abdicated your professional responsibility and you sat there and let those personal attacks, which added nothing to the discussion, go on. In fact, you exploited them to try to get ratings.
Yesterday, Professor Allan Lichtman, aka the mind behind the keys, complained that Piers Morgan didn't save him from our very own Cenk Uygur during their fiery exchange earlier this week. We have a lot more Lichtman where that came from. But first, if you haven't seen Cenk's mega viral clash with Lichtman, let's take a look at some of the highlights.
Hey, Allan, you deserve a tall glass of shut up juice, so can you just shut up for a second?
And there's the infamous line where Cenk didn't hold back. I mean, shut up juice, that's the kind of brutal, no-nonsense line we need more of in these types of debates. Lichtman brought his resume in years of teaching experience to flex, and Cenk brought pure dominance. And here's a pro tip. Allan, your credentials don't win arguments. Facts and confidence do. And watching this exchange feels like a heavyweight fighter going against someone holding a foam bat. And Lichtman's foam bat does not survive with this slap in the face.
I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right, he was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
couldn't
not
find
right,
them before
and I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
Who
taking
won?
cheap
Who
shots.
won?
I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program,
published
I've never been
13
able
books.
to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for personal
brother, you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong.
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't
blasphemy against you? What the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? You're blaming disinformation. There was disinformation. There was the cats and the dogs nonsense. The points you're making about undocumented immigrants, I agree with, Allan, okay? But that didn't cost the election. The people who are at fault are not other people. It is the candidate, Kamala Harris, the previous candidate, Joe Biden.
My analysis is based upon what's changed, what's shattered the pattern of 160 years of history. So I have a base for my analysis. I'm not just doing Monday morning quarterbacking. Cenk, you need to learn some manners. I said I've been teaching for 51 years, written 13 books. You know, what have you done? And I got blasted. You're an elitist, because bringing up that you've been teaching for 51 years and written 32 books. What do you think? I inherited those books?
Did Lichtman really think pulling the "I've been doing this for 51 years" card would earn him respect? That might fly in a PBS roundtable, but here it just screams elitism. Cenk nailed it here. Experience doesn't automatically make you right. And trouting out your resume in the middle of getting verbally demolished just makes you look desperate. In Lichtman, nobody cares about how many books you've written if your argument doesn't hold water.
Like Donald Trump inherited his fortune.
Got him.
I spilled blood, sweat, and tears.
Blood?
To write those books.
Blood?
Blood. Blood came out of my nose. I was working so hard on those books.
Okay.
No one wrote them for me. I'm sorry I used the word blasphemy. I didn't mean it, obviously. In the heat of the moment it came out. I could have used 10 other words, but of course everybody jumps on me.
I know, everybody's
So,
obsessed with you saying
I thought that
blasphemy.
through for a year before I used it.
I know. Everybody's obsessed with you saying blasphemy. It's like, all right, he said the wrong word in the heat of the moment.
Yeah,
It's not that
in the
big
middle of a
deal.
heated, very emotional moment, I said the wrong word. Big deal.
We will end by noting that Lichtman has stated he has received hatred, death threats, and even been swatted recently, all of which we, of course, condemn in the strongest terms. One last clip.
I have had hate heaped on me constantly, right? Death threats, violent threats, anti-Semitism, people trying to breach the security of our family. I've been doxxed, I've been swatted, and it was absolutely reprehensible that I should be subject to this on what should have been a rational panel discussion.
Well, in an exclusive, we have the blowhard bully himself right here in studio to respond.
How dare you?
Oh, I thought he meant me.
Okay, so let me bully him a little bit more. I'm partly kidding. All right, so first of all, I didn't do it out of the blue, and I didn't actually personally attack him. Now you're seeing the clips and saying, well, I called him stupid and all those things. Is that an attack? Yes, it definitely is, but that's not when he interrupted. All I had said is one of the clips you saw in the middle. In the beginning, I got started and I said, I think Juan is wrong for blaming the voters. And then I said, I think I was gonna get to Allan being wrong about blaming disinformation. But I never even got to make that point because the minute I said he was wrong and I was right, he interrupted with, that's a personal insult. No, it's not, that's a fact, right? And in fact, earlier he had said that he got it wrong. So my point there is he was on a hair trigger, ready to go off on me because we had already had a debate here on the Young Turks and he got embarrassed because he was obviously wrong, right? And so just me saying he was wrong is what triggered it. And then he wouldn't let me finish a thought. And so that's when I went and cried to mommy, Piers Morgan. Oh no, that's what he did. Okay, so, oh, there I go again with the middle school stuff. Okay, no, so you know what happens on Piers Morgan. First of all the time, but certainly when I'm on, if someone keeps interrupting me, that's a mistake, right? And so he made that mistake.
Let me
and
just,
I came
if I
over
could
to him.
just quickly.
Hey, wait a minute!
But I think you kind of lost him on the shut up juice. I think that might have been what
that was a little bit of a personal
See, I think
insult.
that's what really it looked like.
No, Michael. In all seriousness,
Yeah.
if you watch the whole thing, and it's online, obviously, we should Zapruder film this thing.
Today's November 22nd.
Oh my God, perfect. And they say there's no God,
Right.
Okay, and that you
And
can't,
no dragons.
and that it's not Allan Lichtman. They say it, but it's ridiculous. It happened today.
If I didn't know either of you, I would have been on just being me. I would have taken Lichtman's side in this.
Oh, don't I know it, brother?
But I know you, and so in this, I will take Lichtman's side.
See, Allan, we could have a good sense of humor about it, okay?
And look, anybody who knows Cenk at all knows that you never randomly get angry or yell during debates.
Right.
Look up the debates between me and Ben, okay?
Well, one day when you and Pro have your own little podcast like the Lichtman father-son do, you guys can, have a laugh at this.
Yeah, which by the way is kind of heartwarming that he does it with
Yeah,
his
it's
son.
great, actually.
I love that. And so, look, I can go on and on. So, look, last bullying thing that we'll get back to being nice. So, look, crying to mommy never helps. And so every time when people attack me, they expect not to get attacked back. Right?
This line showcases Cenk's combative yet effective approach to debates. It's a direct jab at Lichtman's victimhood complex and highlight the glaring difference in their styles. Lichtman leans on academia and moral high ground while Cenk leans into raw energy and sharp counters. And evidently from the debates that we've seen from Lichtman and Cenk, I think we know the clear differences between them. One can actually hold up an argument while the other just looks like a little baby.
So he's interrupting, he's saying all these things about me, he's not letting me finish a thought. And so so at that point I get to the 12 glasses shut up juice, and then he's like discombobulated, right? And
Anna Cenk yelled at me again, and I think he was kidding, but I'm not positive.
don't go crying home to mommy.
I'll call you back.
So look, I've had this happen a million times. Smirkonish, I challenged him to a debate, or if he'd like, because he called the left-wing wussies. I said, if we want, we could do fisticuffs in an organized fashion, right? And he went to Arianna Huffington and tried to get me kicked off the blog on Huffington Post back in the day. Name a right winger, left winger, etc. They do a wild attack against the Young Turks. I counterpunch, and then they're every single time they're like, I can't believe he said something about me. Well, brother, did you just say something terrible about me? Okay, so turnaround is fair play. Now, back to like reality. Guys, Allan Lichtman is just a professor. He's a civilian. Like, let it go. Like, if anyone's actually doxing him, what are you, nuts? What are you doxing poor Allan Lichtman for, right? Yeah. I don't know. Look, he doesn't have a lot of credibility these days. But if someone actually swatted his house, that's mental. Yeah, what?
He was just wrong once, right?
Yeah, but like, being wrong doesn't mean that you should be assassinated by a SWAT team, right?
Right.
So that's crazy. I don't even know why anybody would get that upset. It was like him being so outrageously wrong was more funny than like causing anger, right? And so,
yeah, if being wrong was disqualifying, how would you still be on the air?
Boom, absolutely savage. Cenk doesn't just dismantle Lichtman's points, he drags the man's credibility through the mud. This is exactly why debates like this are so entertaining. Lichtman doesn't realize that being wrong once isn't the problem. It's his arrogance and refusal to accept it. You're not a victim, Allan, you're just bad at this.
What the hell's going on here? Okay, so look, and then anti-Semitism. What are you guys doing? What does that have to do with this? Okay, it's crazy.
It happens, by the way.
It does happen.
It does. It turns out it happens.
People are pretty quick on that one, I can attest.
Okay, guys. So for everyone, and so that Allan can feel better too, let it go, let it go. The election's over. He was wrong, Allan. That's all right. Find some new keys. Come up with a new thing. We'll see you in the next election. Everything's going to be fine. And if I give you one piece of advice, try not, and this is, I get that it sounds deeply ironic, hold. Try not to be so arrogant, especially if you're going to be wrong, okay? Because then it gets a little embarrassing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Lichtman's arrogance is exactly why this debate became a disaster for him. Cenk delivered the perfect combination of blunt truth and ruthless wit. In Lichtman, he gave us whining, complaining, and let's be honest, absolutely zero memorable arguments. This moment sums it up. If you can't back up your confidence, you'll always end up looking like a fool.
And that's all. And by the way, on blasphemy, he didn't mean, I know he didn't mean it. It was a funny line about Jesus Christ, but he meant defaming me, right? And it's tough. But oh, sorry. Again, I lied. One more thing. Okay. I can't believe he went on Piers Morgan and didn't expect the fight to break out. It's like, I mean, I go to a boxing match and we put on the gloves and this son of a bitch hits me. Right. It's Piers Morgan. That's what happens every time.
And as a piece of advice from somebody who has gotten into a debate or two with Cenk live on the air, don't go on a panel with Cenk Uygur if you're not ready to get some fireworks happening, you know?
Or Juan Williams.
This debate, I don't even know can be called a debate because it was a complete and utter humiliation for Allan Lichtman. From the opening moments to the final smackdown, Cenk controlled the narrative while Lichtman scrambled to play the victim. If this is the best the intellectual elite can bring to the table, maybe they should just stay at home. And remember folks, never bring a whimper to a shout fest. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts or opinions down in the comments below. Of course, this is a place for discussion. Also, be sure to give us a like and subscribe, really helps out the channel, and we will see you guys in the next one.